I'm doing this for the passion. I love the passion, but I also need
Where
to eat.
truth reside, done and shone, right by your side.
Turning your passion into profit isn't about money. It's about alignment, freedom, and doing the work your soul came here to do.
Amen.
Welcome. And welcome to Conversations for the Conscious Mind. This episode hits home for the both of us. We're so excited to talk about it. Can you see it on our faces here? Because we go through it. I've been through it so many times. You know, if you like what you do, you won't work a day in your life. Is the whole biggest quote for this whole episode. So we're having a conversation about literally what we've been through, and turning that passion into profit, like in today's time right now. I can say for me, starting with the fitness, doing the competitions, and becoming a personal trainer out of all of that, that was my first episode of passion into profit. And then taking it across country and doing it with the boot camps. Again, going back, and back into school, getting my cosmetology license, all of that once again, because I love doing hair. Who doesn't love, the beauty part and making everybody feel good and look good at the same time? But I like those coins, right? And get into the metaphysical, with my crystal jewelry, with my skincare line, and my planners and my journals, and now doing coaching, offering coaching services and becoming a tarot reader. It's all what I love doing. I absolutely love what I do, and why not make some extra coins? I know for you, Don, it's been the same kind of same process of doing different things that you absolutely love doing, but also getting those coins too.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because in the conversation we're going to have today, the one thing that is important to understand beyond just the passion for profit and so forth is that even when you're pursuing your passion and you're making a profit at doing it, there are
Mhm.
times when your passions change. And so
Yes.
when we get to the end of this, as we're talking about passion and profit, also understand there are times where your passion diminishes and
Yes.
maybe even changes towards something else and you make a shift. And I am the prime example of that with my life because initially I was a kid who grew up, we're in an early age of the computer and everything was mainframe, massive room sized computers. And then all of a sudden we have the TRS 80 and we have these old computers that most of, if I use these words, you'll never even know what they are. Most people don't. But it fascinated me. I thought, how can something work this way? How can we have electricity in our fingertips and hit a few buttons and see something pop up that is of our own creation? And it
Right.
inspired me so much that it took me into the engineering field where I learned how to do that because the passion to do what I did was there because I was mesmerized by computers. And
Hmm.
during my time in engineering, the computers went from massive to smaller to smaller. Then we wound up with PCs on your desk, and we wound up with wargaming centers in Germany, where I worked to help create a wargaming center. And
Hmm.
then at one point, I felt I had experienced as much as I could in that development phase of my life. And so the passion was ebbing. And
Right.
but it also then inspired me to do something else. And therefore I changed career fields and
Yes.
eventually went into law. And I was drawn to law because I'm like, that we were going through a tumultuous period where I felt like we were having some of our rights taken away, some of
Mhm.
our freedoms. And I'm like, I want to be a voice. And so then I got into law and the passion was there. And then over time, you start working in law and you realize, oh, they know all this is supposed to be because
Yeah.
it's a lot of rote process and it's boring as hell sometimes. And
Yeah.
then my passions changed again and again. So the cool part is with where I was headed with the conversation in that regard is that as we talk about passion and profit, know that you should be passionate and the passion helps to bring you that ability to not work a day because you're so into what you do that you don't
Yes.
feel you're working. You feel you're enjoying life and you're just
Absolutely.
living your life and your experience. But
Mhm.
know that as that passion changes, it is not necessarily a negative thing for
No,
you to also alter your profit center and where you can get your money because again, you if you've done it once, you can do it again.
you damn sure can do it again. So,
So
what does it mean to turn passion into profit? So, we
I
got to
think
clear that up first.
yeah,
You know?
I'm going to throw one phrase out that I think
Okay.
kind of fits. It's monetizing your mission. You know,
Yes.
think about that. How great does that sound? And really, it does. The three words encapsulate that.
Yeah.
You tend to have a mission in life. What it is that drives you. What inspires you. Again, with me, it was the
Right.
fascination with computers or the fascination with law or whatever. But that fascination, you say, okay, I love it, and I want it to be
Yep.
my mission. I want it to be my mantra. But
Right.
how can I do that and also make a living? Or therefore the monetization part. So it's monetizing your mission. Find a way to take what you love and
Mm-hmm.
figure out how you can also do it. And if you're doing it to help other people, to serve a need, to do whatever, or fulfill a product or whatever, and then you do that with that mindset of I'm doing this for the passion. I love the passion, but I also need to eat.
That is for sure. I gotta pay bills, I gotta eat, and I want to have a little bit of extra to do whatever I want to do. That's the freedom
Exactly.
part, right?
Exactly.
That is the freedom part. I mean, when it comes to understanding what your passion is, it's like clarity has to come in first, right? And when you get clear, that's all. When you just get clear of doing what you love and you figured out the reason why, guess what? You figured out the hard part already. Now it's time to turn it into the profit.
Mhm.
So when you have that clear mindset, it's I'm not am I just doing this for whatever? Is this a job or is this what I absolutely love doing? I think
Mhm.
a lot of times people get confused with, um, I love my job, but do you really? Or do you love what you're doing at your job? And then you take that because if that's what you absolutely love doing, then that job it's not work, anymore. So
Mhm.
I feel like it's when you have a chance to get clear, passion alone isn't um just profit, but it's like that spark. It's like what gets you wake you up in the morning and gets you going. If
Mhm.
it's draining you, if it's like I don't feel like doing it, I wouldn't call that passion.
Mhm.
Would not call that passion whatsoever because it's passion is not forcing um, or forcing something into a box and making it fit for you. I feel
Exactly.
like, yeah, right.
And
It,
it's
it's
interesting when you talk about the right. I guess for me, when you said that, the thing
Mhm.
that kind of rang through was the right passion. You know,
Yes.
do I have and because we have passion about many things, but the
Hmm.
question is, do I have the right passion? Am I emotionally pulled to do this? Do you
Right.
really feel like this is something you need to do, that you really are inspired to do? Do you
Hmm.
have the skill set? Do you have the mastery, or can you master that skill? Because we
Right.
all may love something and we may really want to do it, but if we don't have that skill set and it requires something maybe naturally born into us. Maybe,
Hmm.
I mean, look at me. I want to be a sprinter. I don't think so. I have a passion for sprinting. I don't think so because it's not possible. And so
Right.
you have, you can have you can have the love, I like to watch whatever, but the point is
Right.
I don't have that. So again, if it's not potential, if it's not even possible for me to master it, it would
Mhm.
not make sense for me to pursue that passion, even though I could be very passionate about it. Also there's that resonance doesn't resonate with me. Really,
Right.
do I feel that it's one of those things? And then, will that 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 job, that role, that passion,
Mhm.
will that align with my long-term life purpose or my lifestyle? And what I mean by that is say you're tooling along and all of a sudden, and I will give you an example. When I wrote a book, The Ultimate Power Within: Unleashing the Magic of Affirmations,
Hmm.
And in that book, in the forward, I actually gave credit to Reba McEntire, the country singer, right?
Hmm.
And what happened is I was my passion had ebbed for computers and technology. I'm like, okay, been there, done that. So I
Hmm.
was driving from lunch, headed back to Einsiedlerhof Air Station where I was working in Germany, and I was like, do I want to do this 20 or 30 more years? I
Right.
had the proficiency. I already proved that I had the skill to do it and I could make it happen. And the money was rolling in. So I had those things, right? But the
Right.
thing is, it wasn't aligning with my lifestyle or my long-term purpose. And I
Mhm.
thought, because that had shifted, right? And so since that shifted, it's no longer that alignment. And
Hmm.
and so I was thinking, do I want to do this for 20 more years just to get a retirement?
Right.
Is that what life is, the quality of my life? And then Reba McEntire comes on the radio. Is there life out there? And this was, I
Hmm.
think, in 92, something like that, 91, 92. And that song come on. Is there life out there? So much you haven't done. Is there life beyond your family and your home? And I'm like, she's singing to me. She's
Right.
singing to me. Because at
Right.
that point, it was clear. Is there something beyond? And am I unhappy with what I have? Therefore, I'm looking beyond, and I was. And
Hmm.
therefore, I took that leap. So I think that those are the things. And it's like, well, will I still do this in a year? Will I
Right.
still do this if I wasn't paid? Two
Mhm.
questions to keep in mind when you're pursuing your passion. If I'm not getting paid, will I still do this? If
Right.
you're not going to do it because you ain't getting paid, then really it's not a passion, because a passion is
Yeah.
saying, I'm going to do this whether I'm paid or not.
Regardless. Right.
Exactly. And
That's
so,
what
so
pushes you.
Oh, absolutely. So as when you think about this, think about those things. Think about the again, that passion and what it is to define that passion. How strong can it be? Because if it's not just, if it's a passion, if it's a passing fad, it's like, no, the
Right.
passing fad is not going to sustain you over the long term.
Right. Right. I feel like so when I was in high school, I was just so I wanted to be in the corporate world. I wanted to be in the office. So I went and loved working at a bank. I loved everything that a bank could do. And so I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, so let me pick my degree for accounting. Let me go to school for accounting. After I graduated, I'm like, I don't know if I actually want to do this. It's
Exactly.
like, this is like, so when I graduated college, QuickBooks had just came out. But I learned on Peachtree, which is the hardest
Oh,
accounting software. So I was already not feeling it. But then I get into working. I'm like, okay, I like dressing up. I like having my own little office, but these numbers is getting on my nerves. I'm constantly looking at
mhm.
numbers, and then I'm feeling like this is not what I want to do. This is not, I'm kind of like forcing myself to do this. It's like, oh, I gotta deal with these people. I gotta make sure the ledgers are together. I gotta make sure this is together. And it felt like it was so heavy
Mhm.
until I got the job, like a part-time job working at the gym. And I'm like, ooh, I love this and a whole lot more. I love the flexibility. I like how it was aligning with me and still is when it comes to health, and wellness. And I'm like, okay, how far can I go with this? How far can I? So I stepped outside of the big commercial gym and went into a studio. So now this is all me. I'm an individual entrepreneur now. What am
Mhm.
I what am I to do? First, I got to get clients. I have to get clients to see my vision as well. I got to put an offer out there to get you to come and let me train you. And then it was a couple of people I'm getting, and then the word of mouth happened. I didn't have to do too much because the results mattered more, right? And then, hey, you should do a boot camp. I'm like, I don't know. That's having a big responsibility, but this is what I love doing. And then taking it to the next level with that, getting bigger. The boot camp's getting bigger and bigger. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm loving this. And it's like I'm on my own time with this, but I'm also sharing my vision with others. And then when you get up and move into another place, you got to look at the environment. You can't, I felt like at the beginning of a big move, everything had to shift.
Hmm.
So, and it's like, okay, I have to start all over. But when you're in an environment where that health and wellness is not uh, in the main part of the community, it's like, okay, now you literally got to start all over. So,
Hmm.
changing the passion, I totally understand.
Hmm. But
Finding,
it's
but
interesting, Shauna, when you just
Mhm.
gave me the insight to mention four different key points
Yeah.
that are essential when you're
Hmm.
trying to monetize your passion. First was the fear of judgment. You were worried if people
Yes.
would see you in that
Yes.
new light and what would they think and can they take you seriously? You overcame that. The
Yeah.
second thing you did is you had money blocks. Should I charge for this? I like doing this and but I need to eat. So
Right.
you got over the money block. And these are two very big factors. The third factor that you had over that you mentioned was that lack of clarity. Once you understood, you for a while you're like, I like this, I like the gym. How can I see myself in
Right.
that cog? How can I be a cog in that whole process and that wheel? And then you found the lack of that you took a lack of clarity, turned it into clarity, and then
Mhm.
again found a way through the money block, saying I can do this, and this is how I can fit in. And then, of course, that you got over the fear of judgment. Said, you know what? I know my stuff. Look at me. I'm taking care of myself. I
Right.
physically show that I know what I'm talking about. And then the fourth thing was the hustle. Then you got out and you did it. If you don't have that
Absolutely.
hustle, the rest falls apart. And when you have the hustle and you had the clarity, which you did, you
Mm.
removed the money blocks and you got rid of the judgment, you were successful.
Yeah.
And so, folks, as you move forward with the passion for profit, make sure that you take those four things in consideration. If you are not capable of
Hmm.
doing any one of those, you really put yourself at a substantial, you're behind a bit and a substantial risk of not pursuing, because the reality is that it's not people don't get luck. It is that it doesn't just luck. You don't fall into it. You have to make it happen. There are
Right.
opportunities that arise that help make it easier, but
Hmm.
you got to do the work and you got to have that sustained level of passion to do that, because people will
Absolutely.
see it, they'll read it, they read the authenticity. When you're asking them for money, that's the one
Right.
time they can read your authenticity better than any time in the world.
Yes. And when if they got to give up some money, they like, hold on. That's like another top of the reads. They read very well. Like, hold on. Well, let's see
Yeah.
if that is truth to that what you do.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people will get behind you and cheer you on until you
Right.
say, okay, cha-ching, okay, let's cha-ching. And you're like, oh, well, wait a minute, whoa, wait a minute. So you have, and when you again, you have got to be prepared for that. You got to prepare for
Yes.
no. You got to be prepared for
Yes.
the answer no. You got to prepare for whatever, and that's it's the coolest part. But another thing that's interesting is that when you're doing this, okay, there's
Mhm.
some things that as you do this, you have to do. Like you need to start where you are, okay. And when
Yes.
I say that, you're never going to be in the perfect place to start a business. You're never going to be in a perfect place to turn your passion into profit than you are now. Because
Right.
if we're always waiting for tomorrow, I got some news for you. Tomorrow never comes.
Tomorrow
You can
never comes.
exactly. And one of the most urgent things about success is
Mm.
feeding, getting food, and also the embarrassment of failing, and all those other things come along with it. So the good part
Yeah.
is start now. Start where you are. Create a simple offer. Determine what it is that you can do, what
Hmm.
it is you're wanting to do, and what it
Yes.
is that you see the profit center coming from, and then put it out there. Figure out the
Yes.
roadmap and saying, I've got this, I need to do this. So if you need to do this to catch up and do whatever you
Absolutely.
have to do to get certified or whatever else, and then move forward by putting that offer out there and say, I'm ready. I'm ready.
Yes.
And figure out if I have to get them in a discounted point since I'm new, or do I come in at another way, or do I do a loss leader situation? And then
Hmm.
you build your personal brand that way. You build your brand by saying, I am so from when you introduce yourself, hi, I'm Sean.
Hmm.
I'm a personal trainer. You all so that point from that point forward, as you move forward, you are instantly building your brand, because everybody you touch, everybody you meet, everybody you come in contact with, they're seeing you now as part of your brand, and you become
Yes.
your brand. And on your emails, you would put your name and then whatever you're doing. And again,
Right.
you anything that connects with people, you want to make sure that you are reminding them what it
Hmm.
is you do. And as you do remind them, then they start seeing you that way because you see yourself that way. So you are the key to this, right? And then
Yes.
make sure that as you process through this, that you're using specific tools that they identify with what you do. And why I say they, because the reality is, if you are out there trying to tell somebody, let's say you're a fitness trainer, right? And you're
Mm-hmm.
250 pounds, and I'm not talking healthy pounds, I'm talking not pounds, and you're in you're somewhere in the park someplace or whatever, and you show up late, and you say, I'm your coach. I am your physical fitness coach, right? Or whatever, your personal trainer. They're looking at you like, wait a minute, you're
What
not
the
in the
heck?
gym, you're not in a facility, you don't look like
Right.
this, and you're late. You're not bringing the goods.
No.
So people have a preconceived notion of what they expect. And if you understand your field that you're getting into, fit some of those preconceived notions in, because that gives them confidence, even if you don't need them for yourself. Remember, you're selling a product or service in the end. And so
Right.
they're going to have some expectations, and you're going to have to, unfortunately, whether you like it or not, fulfill some of those expectations just to give them comfort. Now, once they start working with you, you can be 400 pounds, but if you show results for them, they don't
Yeah,
care.
they
But
don't.
they've got to get over that initial hurdle.
Absolutely. Listen, you're allowed to grow slowly, intentionally, and imperfectly. So
Mhm.
it's okay, if it doesn't hit off at the beginning. It
Mhm.
just starts with one offer. That's it. And it
Mhm.
starts with one story. It starts with one person. And you got to trust that your passion was placed in you. That's all. And how to move with that. Because it's a lot of times I gave away free services just to, get people to see my vision, see the results, and believe in what I do. It's a lot of times you give away a lot of things. Just like when we do our community service work when we go live and do free readings and things like that on Thursdays. Um, it's we don't charge for any of those. We love what we do, because if we didn't, I promise you we wouldn't be on here.
Exactly. Exactly.
We definitely don't take that lightly. But we appreciate. You have anything else that you want to add to?
I
Uh,
do have this,
okay.
and that is, remember, when we talk profit, because sometimes we see profit as it can have different, um, it lands differently on people's ears. Okay, some people, when you
Mm-hmm.
hear profit, you're like, oh, profit center, that they see greed or whatever, and other people, profit, understand business, that you have to have a profit. You know, so let me help you understand. Let me help people who have an issue with the word profit, thinking it's about
Okay.
greed or whatever. It's actually, consider this a sacred exchange. Profit is a sacred exchange.
Yeah.
You are giving of your time, of your gifts, and your
Right.
heart, and in return, you're giving out the energy, which is either an opportunity, or it's an impact on their life, or it is a actual product. But remember, and when we talk profit, well, again, profit into passion, passion and profit, we're talking about exchanging, sacred exchanges of
Mm-hmm.
time, gifts, or whatever, for time, gifts, or whatever. And so we are talking about an exchange. We're not talking about a one-sided opportunity here. It's not all about us. When we talked clearly about how you put those things out there, how you create the opportunity, when the biggest thing is, like, when you launch your service or your product, it's got to be something they want. Remember, so it's,
Mm-hmm.
again, it's about the exchange. What is it they need? What is it they want? You cannot create something that nobody wants and be successful with it. It doesn't work that way. And
Right.
therefore, therefore, when you see the word profit, remember, it's an exchange, and therefore both sides win. It's not one side winning only. There's also, when you do this, you create content that works. You create a product that works. Again, is there a market for this? Is
Mm-hmm.
there a need? And I'll give you an example. There was this wealthy guy, and I heard it was a podcast, and they asked him. He made a number of companies very successful in Europe, and he
Mm-hmm.
had come to this country, and they said, and he had success here too. And they asked him. They said, can you do this anywhere? And he said, absolutely. And they said, anywhere? And he said, yes, because you misunderstand the role that I play in my businesses. He said, you put me in any place and give me a year. And what I do is I will not start my business right away because I don't start my business to make money.
Mm,
What I do is I sit back, I watch what the community needs. Is there an unmet need or an unfulfilled need because somebody's not doing it right? Is there a flaw in the system, or is there something that is just could be done better?
mm,
And he looks at that, then he finds where his niche is because he now provides a service. He provides a product. He provides something that fills a void that already exists. And when he does, he makes money. And he's proven
mm.
this over and over again. And I thought, how amazing. And this is what the concept, when we talk about passion and profit, this is exactly it. Because you have a passion, you have something, then you take a look and say, you know what, can I turn this into money? Is
Right.
somebody buying this? Does somebody want this? Is this something that makes this that is also consistent with what I'm doing? So where I'm not trying to do something that's outside of my passion. And then
Hmm.
if that's the case, can I find that alignment? How do I make that alignment work? And when you do that, you're assured a success because you have the hustle. It becomes from the passion, and that passion comes from a need or a service or a product, and
Hmm.
that need or service product is needed by somebody who is a consumer. So the consumer exchanges their money for your time or your product, and everybody wins.
Yes. That is a great way of adding to that, adding to the passion to profit all the way, all the way.
And if
So,
I if I find if I find I'm going to look his name up. If I find it, I will
yeah.
put it in the description, folks, because I think you need to listen to that guy as well because he really does understand this concept well, and I think he would be an interesting read beyond what we're doing here.
Oh, yeah. Hey, nothing wrong with extra links.
Absolutely.
And especially from, a person that has done this over and over and over
Yes.
again and capitalized on it,
Yep.
you know. So I hope this episode, gave you a little clarity, y'all, and even gave you a nudge because we would love to hear. We love feedback, and if you have any questions, don't be afraid to drop it in the comments, and we will love to answer those for you, of what to do, how to start, or whatever. But we would love some feedback, also. So all
And we
you
will
have
put
to,
our emails in the description as well.
yes,
So you guys, if
yes.
you're welcome to message us there or message us through this app as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And don't forget to hit that subscribe button that's
Don't
right down there
forget,
in your
you
right
took
hand
the
corner.
words out of my mouth. Yes, you beat me to the punch. So yeah,
Yes.
don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this episode out to ones that are, a little shaky and don't know what to do, but this is a nice start, and this is a nice, you're not by yourself in this, okay? You're not by yourself on this. All you have to do is just start. And
Mhm.
when you start, you do it your way, do it at your pace, and do it at your truth, okay?
Amen. Amen.
All right. Until the next time, everybody, stay grounded and keep listening inward. Okay. And we greatly, greatly appreciate you listening to our episode today.
Of conversations for the conscious mind.
Yes. Yes.
Adios, everybody. Bye bye.
Bye
Where
bye.
truth resides, done